Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have a clone? Would you make it go to work for you while you slept in? Would you trauma dump all your darkest secrets on it? I mean, who would understand it better than your clone, right? Or, maybe you just do something unhinged. Yeah, I see you. I know what you're thinking. But me personally, no, no, no. I'd fight mine to the death. Winner gets the Spotify account. The good news is we don't have to wonder these questions any longer, since we have the alters.
Our workplace is damaged. Should I work on this while you're scheduling repairs?
Over the last few decades, video games have become the most profitable entertainment industry, yet they still feel kind of young and underdeveloped in a way. And this kind of shows when you compare them to older mediums like movies or TV shows. If you look at cinematography, there are a few well-shot gems in the gaming world, but typical methods to make a story are often tossed to the side for immersion or for a certain style of game, such as a side-scroller where the camera is fixed. A lot of games just aren't focused on things that other stories are, such as framing and cinematography. I mean, I'm getting off topic. This could be a whole nother video. Games often also lack the mature writing that movies and TV shows have. They're kind of still catching up in that aspect.
What you got?
I don't know, a ball pit? I'm joking. I'm kind of joking. It needs to be defensible.
There are gems every once in a while, but most games still struggle to tell a story that actually sticks the landing. Then there's the other extreme where the themes of the game are just shoved down your throat. You can taste the developer's thesis statement. There's no nuance or room for thought. And then there's many games that don't bother with a story. I mean, no shade to these games at all. I'm just pointing it out. That's why I'm thankful we have games like The Alters, a little indie title developed by 11-bit studios that somehow nails its story on a pretty masterful level. It's like a 25-hour game with tons of thought-provoking storylines and themes without holding your hand. It's epic. Just to give you some background, The Alters is a game where your whole crew dies while landing on an alien planet, and you gotta clone a new crew using scary science to survive. You have a rising sun chasing you around the planet that will burn you up if you don't keep moving, and the corporation you work for is absolutely obsessed with an alien mineral, classic evil corpo stuff. The scary science doesn't just create a clone, but it creates an alter, which is a clone from a branching point in your life. So, you remember you decided not to invest in Bitcoin because you were 5 years old or whatever, 10 years old? Well, one of your alters did, and he's the Jeff Bezos alter. That's the basic of it, pretty much. You and your alters just have to do different jobs to run the base and survive, make difficult decisions. A lot of games will slap you into a leadership role, like captaining a ship, commanding an army, or running a whole country, and all those games are super fun, don't get me wrong, but no game creates the feeling of being a stressed mid-tier manager in corporate America like this game does. Other games force tough decisions, but this one is different just because of the feedback mechanism. The feedback comes directly from your crew. And when I say crew, I guess I mean the other clones you forced into servitude, most of which by the end of the game you'll be at least somewhat attached to.
Can I use it to make more altars?
Well, well. Look who's all excited about making new yawns. Whatever you're planning to do, you're gonna need to give that chip a little love in the workshop first. Then, you can upgrade away.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Kind of like a coworker who brings his pet snake to work. He's kind of weird, but he makes work kind of fun. He makes it bearable, The alters will have plenty to say about your decisions. Do something they think is unethical or they don't agree with, they will let you know.
Indeed, the botanist. What about him? He's running around the base like a baboon in heat, all excited about talking to his wife. I hope that's not true. Well, in that case, it has to stop. Are you absolutely positive we need our Romeo involved in it? Those dreamy eyes of his have workplace accident written all over them. He was just trying to help. I hope you know what you're doing.
And trust me, they get pretty bitchy when you prioritize an extra enriched metal drill over quote-unquote team morale. And, you know, the personalities are also different. You can't please everybody. Sometimes you have to step in and settle arguments between the science altar and the hot-headed blue-collar altar. If an altar gets really frustrated, they'll just straight up refuse to work. And then you gotta do team building exercises like watching movies or like playing beer pong. I mean, it's actually pretty chill. I can't lie. I'm not bitching about it. It's pretty fun. If they have real beef, they'll just stop talking when you enter a room. I shit you not. They'll be talking. You'll walk in and they'll just stop whispering. You ask what's up and they'll just say nothing. Like it is crazy. Like social anxiety in real life is enough. So it was kind of it's a joy to discover this game could also give me social anxiety. But hey, it's cool. The writing here is very mature and makes the altars feel grounded, even though the scenario itself is so outlandish. But like, that's the cool thing. Social patterns naturally form, like social circles forming at school or in any other kind of social setting. It's super organic in this game, and it's greatly affected by your decisions and who you kind of side with, what kind of altars you roll with. Here's an example of one of many quick conversations you'll have with your altars throughout the course of the game.
Took his whole crew down with him. The monster got the best of him. Sounds like a sad ending. I don't know. Got me thinking. I'm not sure how those writers do it, but when you get to the end, it almost feels like you always knew it was gonna be that way. Huh? Like it was obvious all along they wouldn't get him. Man, I just hope it's not gonna be like that with us in Rapidium. It's gonna be different. You know why? Because we're doing it for others, not ourselves. We're not obsessed. We're just determined. Huh. So, is that what you think makes the difference? Caring about others? Want to really know what I think? I think you become obsessed with something if you're a poor loser. Yeah. And now that I think of it, maybe that Ahab guy wasn't thinking clearly. 'Cause he just couldn't get over what crippled him. Messed him up as a man. Like the last thing he'd ever admit to was...
Many of the decisions you have to make balance survival with ethics, or the quality of life of the crew versus critical mission objectives. The game is balanced in such a way where you often have to make hard decisions, and what I mean by hard decisions is that you often have to make trade-offs. There's very little like win-win type things. You can play situations very well. If you make a lot of smart, well-informed decisions, you can come out of situations in a good way, but you most likely still sacrificed something to get there along the way. Some of these decisions are small, some are just for the betterment of the base or the efficiency of your base, but others are literal life and death. And trust me, like literal life and death, your whole crew can get wiped out. It's crazy. The main story quest also forces you into some of the biggest decisions that you have to make, and it affects how your crew is doing now and how they're doing down the road, aka how the game ends. And these large decisions are generally divisive among the crew or come with some major drawbacks. And you got a cool little screen. You can also see how the crew is feeling, which normally ranges from like, I'm tired to I want to blow my head off. So, in that ballpark. This is one of the most oddly social single-player games I've played. I have never been this immersed in a way a crew interacts or how video game characters interact and work together. And I don't think there's another game that quite simulates an intimate group of people as realistic as this. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like cool colony sims, but it's more so about like the colony in a lot of the ways. This is more so about how a group of people gets along, a group of different personalities works together. This means when you come up with smart leadership plans to get your base running smoothly and your altars feel happy, it is genuinely rewarding because it can go so wrong. What really makes this click all into place is that the main gameplay systems directly reflect the morale of the crew. If your altars get moody, they might decide to unionize with a 2-day shutdown, or one of them gets injured because they're distracted or on painkillers, and suddenly you've got a pissed off one-armed chef.
Big surprise is the fucking bass is fucking raw!
The reason I'm yapping about all this stuff is because all of these complex systems and feedback mechanisms are in place to create a legitimate feeling of freedom with legitimate consequences through your playthrough. Honestly, more freedom than most modern day RPGs or RPG lights, and this is more of a survival game. You receive a ton of positive and negative feedback when you're commanding your alters. You feel the weight of your decisions both through your social interactions and how the base runs. This game makes players consider the personalities of NPCs more than any other game I've played. The group of alters is small enough where you start to get to know their personalities and they become well-developed characters. I find myself with like crazy thought processes like, oh, the janitor alters had a rough couple of days, so maybe I make a nice meal for him. However, the cook is already on radiation filter manufacturing duty and the magnetic storm is coming, so yeah, sorry, man. But you are legit thinking about how these NPCs are doing. The alters create a true feeling of leadership not often found in games. You have to play it to fully experience it, and I haven't shown you a lot of big moments because I don't want to spoil the entire game for you, but it is truly amazing. Another major theme that reoccurs throughout the game is ethics and science. A lot of media glosses over ethics and science like it's nothing. Super soldier army, sure, that's fine. Bring back dinosaurs, yeah, why not? Create super intelligent war AIs, sure, whatever. But the premise itself, creating life as a tool to save life in a dire situation, brings up many questions you will wrestle with throughout your playthrough. A large portion of the game also focuses on rupidium, which I haven't really mentioned much yet in this video, but it's an extremely rare alien substance, which is basically a localized time machine. This means back on Earth, it's the only way to sustain a growing population on a dying Earth. The only problem is that your entire crew is about to be killed by a hostile planet, which makes it hard to collect. This is literally a groundbreaking substance for humanity. New technology can be developed back at the base and back on Earth, and it allowed for the alters to be created in the first place. It's basically a miracle mineral. This resource could help your mission for sure, but how much do you sacrifice in the name of rupidium? The plotlines mull over these what-if scenarios, which is honestly refreshing to see, and as mentioned, the writing is grounded, so it makes these ethical questions actually hit pretty hard. This shiz is all good, but it's not even the game's main focus. Let me walk you through my scientific process. The first thing you're going to want to do when making a clone is check out your quantum computer. You'll find your quantum computer has already harvested all your personal data from the moment you were born to the moment you arrived on this planet. It has also taken the liberty of making branch points in your life to specifically fulfill the needs of your ship. Remember the entry-level exam into college math? If you answered B instead of A, you would have become a surgeon. Remember that time that you denied a cigarette from your friend in high school? Well, good thing you did, because you would have ended up a drug addict under a bridge. This is fun because on top of questioning my social skills and ethics, the game gets to bring my life's past decisions into it, which is always fun to think about. As I watched Jan reflect on his own life choices, I started to reflect on a few of my own. I feel like most players will have this reaction. As you pump out alters for Jan, you start to think what some of your alters would be like. The surgeon version of myself would probably think the version of myself editing this video is a dumbass and we'd never get anywhere. The Alters has lingered on my mind long after I finish it. It's not really just a game you play, but a personal story that forces you to face the reality of roads not taken. That sounded really deep. I didn't mean for it to sound that deep, but it's kind of true in a way. There's a lot of reflective moments, and by creating and interacting with alternate versions of Jan, the game subtly encourages players to reflect on their own lives. You start to wonder about what-if moments in your own past and reflect on what kind of alters they may have created. This really makes the game a unique reflective experience that I haven't really had in any other games. And since the game is so decision-driven, you reflect on choices of Jan's past to make decisions on Jan's future. For gameplay reasons, you reflect on the past. You want to make decisions that will work well with your crew based on past experiences. So pretty much making decisions on your future based on your past, which is, kind of how you make decisions in real life based on your own experiences, which also kind of just changes, your perspective in the game. At this point, I'm honestly impressed with any form of media if it leaves me thinking about it for more than 10 minutes after my eyes left the screen, and many AAA games don't achieve this feat, and the Alters utterly embarrasses them. Please play the Alters on your own, because I didn't mention half of the cool stuff this game is doing throughout its runtime. Because of the way you make decisions in the game, it can play out so many different ways, and because everybody lives drastically different lives, not only will the experience in-game be different, but the reflections you make on your own life will be drastically different. I think the goal for 11-bit here was to make a deeply reflective and replayable experience, and they certainly achieved it here. So yeah, guys, that was the video. Let me know what you think about the Alters in the comments below. I think the writing is very mature, and I think it addresses things that a lot of writing in video games doesn't tend to address. It goes deep into some subjects. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, guys. So let me know what you think about the altars below. Please subscribe if you like content like this or if you like indie game reviews. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed. Peace.